Taylor with the pick. They win the World Cup in 2006. Sidney Crosby, the golden goal.
Welcome back to the Gameplan podcast. I'm your host, Sean Porter. Joining me tonight again, Remy and Connor. Thank you guys for being here. We got a lot of NBA to talk about. The Masters wrapped up this weekend, so we'll also get into that toward the end. I want to give a quick condolence to LSU wide receiver who unfortunately passed away earlier this morning. LSU wide receiver Kyron Lacey, who died at 24, like I said this morning. Top prospect in the upcoming NFL draft. Condolences to his family and everyone around him. As a Commanders fan, obviously Jayden Daniels played with him at LSU. So if you saw his story film on Instagram, a lot of memories going back for them too. So I do want to give my condolences to them. But getting in, again, thank you for joining us. Getting into basketball, guys. The NBA play-in predictions we're getting into. The play-in starts on Tuesday, so I want to hear what everyone's thoughts are going into that. We'll talk about the first matchup. We got 2 games on Tuesday. We'll go against the first game. My Magic, Orlando Magic against the Atlanta Hawks. Remy, what's your prediction for that game?
Oh, I got Magic easily. Trae Young, he's the only one that's been carrying that team besides Dyson Daniels. You know, the Hawks and their big men, they're not doing too much. The Magic are super stacked. They got so much potential. With the addition of KCP this season, he's shooting phenomenal from the three-point line. Super great addition there. Paolo, you know, coming off his injury, he's still doing great. In the past few games, he's still been averaging over 30 points per game. Franz, you know, the whole team's doing great. The only thing that they're gonna be missing is Suggs, but you know, I think the new rookie Tristan Silva and then they're also Anthony Black will definitely help fill that gap that they have missing.
Connor?
So I have a few notes on this matchup here. So although the Magic did lose against the Hawks today, I know Trae Young and Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner didn't play today.
It was more like a resting game than
resting game, whatnot. They still lost to the Hawks today when their next game is going to be the Hawks.
Let me point out, I mean, the last week they did play the Hawks in like a real game, and Orlando did go away with the W. Okay,
but some other stats I have here are, before the game today, the Magic were on a 2-game winning streak, but they've only won 4 of their last 10 games. So are they losing their momentum going into the play-ins or playoffs as well? And also, I think the Hawks have a pretty stacked roster as well.
They have a good roster. Like I said, every time we play the Hawks, it's a close game.
Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, they got Zachary Risache, Clint Capella. They've got a nice roster there, and I know the Magic also have a pretty deep roster as well.
Max Strus as well. He's been a deadly three-point shooter against Orlando.
Oh, yeah.
But the Hawks have a lot of momentum going in the play-in.
So you think the Hawks are going to take that?
No, I think the Magic are going to win, but
I'm taking depth over the Hawks for sure, because the Magic have way more depth than the Hawks do. Sure, Dyson Daniels is up for the defensive play, one of the defensive players of the year, but, you know, the Magic have way more depth.
But I think we're forgetting that the Hawks went to the conference finals a few years ago, so they do have.
But how far did it take them? How far did that go? How far did they go?
Yeah, the conference finals.
In the last real matchup, like I said, like last week,
did they win?
Orlando went away with a 114-108 victory. Paolo Banchero had 36 points. Trae Young with 38. I'm taking Orlando. You know, Paolo and Franz have been going specifically always turn up against Atlanta. That game is always high scoring, no matter when they play. Banchero's going to do his thing. Wagner's going to do his thing, as long as they contain Trae Young. Because if Trae Young can get hot, get to the free throw line, we know how much Trae Young loves going to the free throw line. He's, like we said, he's 3rd or 2nd place in clutch points. So if we contain Trae Young, not foul, keep him off the free throw line, I'm very confident that the Orlando will take this game against the Hawks, and they'll play the Celtics, which is going to be even tougher matchup. But I do have Orlando.
Whoa, one step at a time, all right?
Well, anyway, I think we could agree that Orlando is favored in this matchup between the Hawks.
Yes,
listen. The Hawks at the beginning of the year, they weren't doing so well. They were near the bottom of the rankings, but during the last 20 games, or just since All-Star game, they've kind of had some momentum, as I was saying before. So honestly, they are the underdogs in this series.
100%.
But I also think they're out-talented.
But
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far.
I think I'm taking Paolo over Trae. I'm also taking. I'm also.
That's not even a matchup. That's a point guard. That's a point guard and a power forward matchup. That's not even. That's not even a matchup.
In a 1v1, I'm taking Paolo over Trae too.
I'm just saying. I'm taking. I'm taking Orlando's bench. KCP has been shooting upwards of 40% since the All-Star break. He's been lights out. Yep. He's been putting up really good numbers. Isaac, you have an amazing defender who you can put on almost anyone on that team to lock them down. You have Tristan Silva, as you said, he's been a solid rookie. Caleb Houston has also been lighting up from 3-point percentage.
Michigan legend.
Yeah, yep. Michigan legend. Also has been putting up upwards of 40% from 3 in the last couple games. If you look at their bench, I think they're more than...
Hold on. We need to go back to a point you just said. You said Trae Young versus Powell as a matchup. Last time I checked, Powell does not play point guard. Are you going to say next time Franz Wagner and Clint Capella are the matchup?
Get on his ass.
You're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm saying if I want to take someone to win on my team to win this game, I'm taking Paolo over Trae. Paolo's had the better team. Paolo's had arguably the better season without injuries. I'm taking Paolo, and I'm taking the Magic in this lineup. And we all agree that Orlando is most likely taking this game, so I don't know what else there is to argue about. So moving 100%. On to the next game.
Devil's advocate.
Yeah, the next game in the East. The Bulls, 9th seeded versus the 10th seeded Heat. Connor, who's your victory?
I got the Chicago Bulls winning this. They've had some momentum recently. They're on a tear recently. They've got Kobe White, who's been playing amazing all season, hit some game winners against the Raptors and the Magic, or just, I don't know about game winners, but just went off against our two teams that we cheer for. They've got Josh Giddey, who's proven himself this year. We've talked about him last episode. He's having an amazing season. I think, the game after we ended our podcast, he had an insane triple-double, like 17. What was it, Remy? I know you know this more than
it was 28 points, 17 rebounds, and 11 assists.
Yeah, 17 rebounds as a shooting guard is insane. And they still got Vucevic, former Orlando Magic legend. But
don't know how that guy's still on that team, but we'll take it.
Ever since the departure of Jimmy Butler, I don't think the Heat have been the same.
No, I think,
not a chance. They're on a losing streak, actually.
I think this is another one where we're all going to take the Bulls over the Heat. You know, the Heat have been solid. If you look at recent games, they've won quite a few. But again, other than Hero and Bam, they don't have too much else to lean on. They did have Juan Juarez Jr.
Juan Yame Hakas Jr.
Yeah, he just dropped.
Who's Juan?
He just whatever. My apologies to him. He just dropped 40. He just dropped 41 points against who are they playing tonight? They're playing. He dropped 41 against the Pelicans or the Wizards tonight. They lost that game, but he's still a really good player for the Heat. But again, when you look at the Bulls,
they're on a losing streak,
Kobe White, Markkanen, Josh Giddey, Vooch. If you look at their roster, I think
Markkanen's not on the Bulls.
Yeah, but Miami Heat have the cell legend himself, Terry Rozier. I've seen a lot of clips of him this season, just selling play after play after play. It's like he wants to tank. Playing well. Yeah, we all thought that he would be an amazing fit for the Heat from the Hornets. I think it was this season that he got acquired by them, but he's just been a major letdown this season. So I don't know if he's going to be a positive for the Heat, but yeah, as we said, I have the Bulls winning this. And then if the Bulls win against the Heat, it'd be the Heat versus the Hawks. I think
I'm taking the Hawks.
I'm taking the Hawks too.
I'm taking the Hawks too.
Again, you look at the Hawks roster and the Bulls, they both have good, decent depth, but I think when you're comparing best player to best player, you're comparing Trae to what?
Kobe White.
Is it Kobe White? Then
Kobe White. No, Kobe White.
Monday through Sunday, every single time, every day of the week, 24/7.
Yeah, but Kobe White's having pretty good years.
You have Dyson.
But he also has backup. He also has Josh Giddey. He got Matis Buzelis, who's playing really well.
Oh, I forgot about Buzelis. He's been playing amazing this season.
Yeah, he's been on a tear recently. Him and Giddey have started their tear at the exact same time, and it has not stopped. But I'm still taking the Hawks.
Those European players are just insane.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the East, I think, is pretty...
The best players in the NBA are European.
Yeah.
Yeah,
as far
as odds go, I think we have a pretty good idea of what might happen in the East. Magic versus Celtics, Hawks versus Cavs. But again, you never know for sure. It'll be interesting to watch. That's on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then on Wednesday, we go to a couple of the West teams. Kings, the 9th-seeded Kings versus the 10th-seeded Mavs. Remy, who's going to win? Who's your prediction?
Oh, I got Kings easily. I know it's a biased pick because DeMar DeRozan is my favorite player, but I got the Kings.
It is the DeMar turn.
It is the DeMar turn. Okay, I won't go that far.
The DeMar Chicago Bulls tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that with the addition of... Oh, yeah. But, with the addition of Zach LaVine to the Kings, I was actually very, very, very surprised with the meshing of DeRozan and him again, because Chicago clearly didn't work. Kings, it's working a lot better, especially with the support of Malik Beasley, Keon Ellis, DeMontis Sabonis at the big. He's such an underrated big in this league. He got snubbed at that All-Star spot. He's been on a tear recently. I definitely, and also with Keegan Murray with their lights out 3-point shooter, I have to take them over the Mavericks, considering the fact that AD, he is not consistently healthy. Kyrie, he'll do his thing, but like I'm obviously gonna take the Kings.
Yeah, obviously we can't agree since the Luka trade that the Mavs have been very, very mediocre at best. I'm taking the Kings every day. You said DeMar, Levine, they're playing really. Levine has actually been playing really well on the Kings. I've been
100%.
very impressed on how he's been playing with this team. They're looking really solid. Obviously, Sabonis, who's probably going to make an All-NBA team.
He should.
I'm taking them over the Mavs for sure. Warriors and Grizzlies.
Nope, it's my opinion time now. So I don't think the Kings are going to win against. Yeah, I think the Dallas Mavericks are going to win over the Kings just because they went to the finals last year. And I do listen. I know you're giving me a look right now.
You're missing the most important player.
I never knew about
him. The Dallas Mavericks did have Luka last season, but the reason why they're in the play-in tournament right now is because of how much Luka's been injured this year.
Is AD even playing in that game?
He's healthy now. He's healthy now. Why wouldn't he play?
How long?
You think they're trying to tank?
Well, they're going to make some excuse for him not to play.
No, they're going to go for the playoffs.
They're going to make some
injured his eye 2 days ago.
They have Kyrie. Okay.
Yeah, probably.
All right, hater. So the Kyrie Irving, they got Klay Thompson, they got AD.
What's Klay Thompson been doing? Clearly not.
Kyrie's been to the finals many times. Kyrie's been to the finals many times. He's won a championship.
He's a veteran on the team. LeBron.
And Kyrie's not 25 anymore. Kyrie's 30.
Yeah, he's a veteran now. He's going to show everyone else how to play a playoff game. And then AD's also won a championship too. He's been to the finals before. They just have more experience than the Kings. DeMar's never been to the finals.
Klay's having career low in points per game this season?
Yeah, Zach LaVine has been to the playoffs less than like 3 times.
But look how he's been doing this season. He's been playing very well.
Okay, he's been doing well. He can score, but you need experience on your team to go far in the playoffs, and that's a fact.
Yeah, but I don't know if the play-in really takes that much of a factor.
Luka had no experience going to the finals last year.
Who?
Luka had no experience going to the finals last year. You don't always need experience.
He had experience in the playoffs, though. He had many years of experience in the playoffs. I think he went to the playoffs his first or second year in the league after the Dallas were notoriously bad for a couple of years.
So you're taking the Mavs?
Yeah.
Okay. The next game.
2-1 didn't read, yeah.
7th-seeded Warriors and 8th-seeded Grizzlies. Remy, who's winning that game?
I'm taking the Warriors. They've been on a tear recently since adding Jimmy Butler. I read the statistic. There was they've been on with the addition of Jimmy Butler. I think they've been
they were on a game streak where they were like 12-1 at one point.
But yeah, 12-1. I think the Heat have been on like a 4 and like 12 or 13. It's bad for the Heat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm taking the Warriors because Grizzlies, they're just not consistent. Of course you have like the potential defensive player of the year in JJJ, and you have the superstar John Morant. But I'm just taking the Warriors because they have so much. They've got Curry, who's been on a tear recently with the shooting lights out from everywhere. But he always does. But it's an excessive tear, especially with the help of Draymond Green. Yeah, I know he gets a lot of hate right now, but he's also in number 1. He's somehow number 1 for defensive player of the year. So I'm not going to mess with that.
I do want to say this is probably going to be one of the closest games out of all the 4 games in the play-in. These two teams honestly are pretty evenly matched. You have 2 superstars. You have depth. You have defense on both sides. Connor, give it to me.
I just want to point out that I think it's crazy that a team that won 49 games and 48 games are playing.
That shows you how stacked the West has been.
The West is crazy.
Every single game the last 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks has mattered.
If Cooper Flake goes to a West team this year, I'm going to be pissed. He deserves to go to the East. The East needs more competition.
It does.
Because...
Well, I mean, they did have 2 60-win teams.
That's the margin
from the top teams to the East to like more of the bottom is way, way wider than the West.
Like I think the Cavs are first, and their games ahead of the Celtics are like 14 or 16. Like they have 14 more wins than the second place Celtics, and then the Celtics, the third place team, is also like an insane deficit. But for this series, I definitely have the Warriors winning just because of the addition of Jimmy Butler. Hopefully, I don't know if y'all saw today's game with Draymond missing that layup to win the game or to tie the game.
Saw a clip of that.
Hopefully, they don't put the ball in his hands near the end of the game.
I don't know why you do that in the first place. I don't know what Steve was thinking.
I'm the biggest Draymond hater. But
So the next, okay, so you have Warriors winning. Who do you think is going against OKC and the Rockets, Remy? You said you have Warriors, so the Warriors win. You'd have Grizzlies and the
Kings.
Yeah, Kings. Who do you think's winning that?
Oh, I'm taking Kings.
Tell me why.
It's just that you don't. It's just for Ja Morant. He's like one of your main scorers on that team. And also Desmond Bain's also a good 3-point shooter. And you also have JJJ, but I'm just taking the depth of the Kings. Like they have a really solid bench and a really solid young core right now, and I'm really excited to see what they have for their future. And also, I'm just excited to see because you have two of the clutchest players in the NBA right now on the same team. You've got Zach LaVine, who's been super clutch lately, and DeRozan. I don't know why he's not being mentioned enough. And yes, this can be just biased towards me, but he's not being mentioned enough in clutch points. He'll go into the fourth quarter with starting off with 7 points, and he'll end up with like 30-plus points.
7 points going in the fourth quarter. That's crazy.
Yeah, 7 to 10 points going in the fourth quarter and end up with 30. He's the king of the fourth quarter. That's his nickname, and I'm just happening to go with that depth. And also, with the addition of Sabonis, like you have that IQ at the center spot. You basically have a baby Joker.
Well, for my prediction, I think that the Mavericks versus the Grizzlies. I think the Mavericks are going to beat the Grizzlies. You said John Morant was a superstar. He was a superstar a few years ago when he was averaging 29 points per game, but now he's averaging around 22 points per game.
Yeah,
and he's about to get an insane contract in the offseason.
You also have to look at the games missed though, and the reason why he missed those games. If he wasn't obviously the gun emo celebration.
Man, what is he doing?
Take it however you want, whether you think it's dumb because everyone does it, or if he specifically shouldn't have done it. However you want to take that. The reason he's missed games has been very questionable the past couple seasons.
Yeah, and then he also did have an injury this year too.
He did as well, but I wouldn't consider him one of the league's best superstars, but I'd still consider him in that, higher tier than most players in the league.
Well, putting him at a top 10 point guard in the league when he's like fully healthy.
Yeah, when he's playing games, he's a top 10 point guard.
I think he's higher than an all-star, but I wouldn't quite put him at a superstar this season at least. He is an electrifying player that people want to see play and do the crazy highlights that he has majority of games, but AD versus Jaren Jackson Jr. AD is just a better version of Jaren Jackson Jr. Kyrie Irving, again, experienced, the veteran player on the team, has more experience than John Morant, although John Morant did go to the conference finals, I'm pretty sure, a couple years ago with that somewhat young Grizzlies roster. After that 1 year of the Grizzlies roster going to the conference finals, I thought they would have came back, but all these antics from John Morant and the injuries and whatnot.
Desmond Bain, we also forget about because he's been...
he's such a good defensive player and three-point threat.
Yeah.
But the one thing you're forgetting, though, about Kyrie is, yes, he's a veteran, but he's done nothing and he's not accomplished nothing since he's left the Cavs with LeBron.
Yeah, you said DeMar was clutch player? I think Kyrie Irving's clutch player.
He's done nothing this year.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Like I said, play-in Tuesday, Wednesday to Friday. This upcoming week is going to be good for basketball. Next topic.
I can pull up DeMar's clutch stat.
All right, we get it. DeMar's clutch.
No, but John Morant this year... not John Morant. I know. I meant to say Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, without your top paid player in Luka Doncic, it's kind of hard to win these games all by yourself, especially with an old Klay Thompson who only shoots three-pointers. Like, Klay Thompson, if he's not making his three-pointers, he's useless for the team. I know he's known for his defense and everything, but his defense is kind of falling off, and his shots aren't kind of going in this season.
All right, moving on. I want to know... regular season's over. Obviously, what's going to come up, we all have the awards. We did that last episode with the predictions. What we didn't talk about was, all NBA, all defensive teams, and all that. Remy, what does your all NBA first team look like for your prediction?
So point guard has to be SGA. He's
the all NBA is also positionless as well. They did make
but I'm going Shea. I'm going Donovan Mitchell, I'm going Jason Tatum, I'm going Giannis, and I'm going Jokic.
You read my mind. I had the exact same thing. Connor?
I'd Shea. I had Anthony Edwards. He's shooting a lot of threes. You could
arguably put him in that.
Yeah, you into Mitchell.
Anthony Edwards. Jason Tatum, he is leading his team to an amazing season. Yep. Giannis also leading it. Not.
He's averaging 30 points per game.
Yeah, 30 points per game, and he got MVP a few years ago, only averaging 27 and 26 points per game. And I looked back, and he didn't get MVP when he averaged 31 points per game, 30 points per game. So he's having better seasons than his MVP season. Definitely all NBA team, and then
Jokic,
obviously Jokic.
But didn't he also didn't Giannis also win MVP this season when he won the finals?
No, he didn't.
Or was that the season before?
He won the year the Raptors won in 2019. And the year after that as well.
Okay.
I want to, because I know we talked about Mitchell and how he's obviously the Cavs are doing insane. He's a big reason for that, but he's not averaging top tier MVP numbers. I don't know if you guys put him up there because of the team. I put him up there personally because, like I said, the Cavs are doing so well. I feel like it's kind of disrespect. Obviously, it's all NBA, so you're talking mostly personal player success, but you have a 64-win season. I feel like you have to put Mitchell on there.
And I mean, 24 points per game.
So he's averaging good points in big games. We've seen him average higher, but the fact that he's helping carry this really good Cavs team to 64 wins, I think puts him on the All-NBA first. All-NBA second. Connor, do you have anything for that?
Jalen Brunson leading the Knicks right now. He's also very clutch for the team. Second team, I had Donovan Mitchell because although he is carrying his team, he isn't averaging the points that he used to average. I think he was in MVP considerations a few years ago when he was averaging close to 30 points per game.
I could argue Ant could be in first, second. They are switchable. I give you that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kind of wanted to put Evan Mobley either second or first team All-NBA because he was in considerations for MVP, although I don't think he deserves MVP over Jokic or Shea.
I think he's more of an All-NBA third team.
His presence on the court, his defensive presence, and then he's also a threat from three-pointer. He can get rebounds for you. He can kind of do everything for your team, and I think he's a big reason why the Cavs are doing so well. I also have Cade Cunningham, he's having a surprising year this year, especially from last year when they've won less than 20 games.
Yeah, Pistons did really well. Mm-hmm. Obviously the biggest part of that.
All his stats are up from last year, so I think Cade Cunningham deserves a second All-NBA second team. And then my last position is Karl-Anthony Towns with the Knicks. He's just having an insane year for the Knicks, and I bet the Minnesota Timberwolves are
regretting that trade.
Every day.
It's punching himself.
100%.
I mean, what was your second team looking like?
So I'd agree with Connor, with Brunson and Cade, both having fantastic seasons. Brunson being super, super clutch, and I'm just really liking the duo between Brunson and Cat. They're just really meshing well, and they've got a lot of wins under the belt this season. I'd really like to see it because it's sort of what Brunson needed for his team. And then I also have KD on this list. He's just been doing so well lately.
Really?
It's just KD. Yeah, I had KD on this list. I would actually... And I also had Mobley on my first All-NBA team, but then I realized Giannis was there, so I had to put Mobley down to the second one.
It's debatable. Yeah.
KD on the second team. I don't know.
KD, they're not making the playoffs or they're getting a pick this year.
Yeah.
Just want to let you know that.
No, you realize they're not getting a pick because they traded everything away to get a team together like that.
He's putting up Bradley Beal stats.
I'm surprised no one mentioned this. LeBron. I'm putting LeBron on that.
No, I'm putting LeBron. LeBron's on my team. I was just about to say LeBron.
Yeah.
LeBron's doing fantastic things for his age. And he's still averaging. He's consecutive year averaging 24 plus points per game. He's doing great.
Yeah.
So I have to put LeBron as my last player.
Yeah, I think LeBron. I mean, like you said, Mobley could definitely be consideration. Definitely not going to make all NBA first team. Just how stacked the league is. Second team, you could see. Third team, arguably has to be on. He has to be on one of those teams for sure.
Yes,
KD
100%.
maybe a third team, but yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Next, all rookie team. Connor, I know you're excited to talk about all rookie team, so I'll let you go.
Oh, so we're not talking about the third team? All right. So,
no third team.
LeBron was on my third team. Right, I want to give,
shout out to LeBron.
Yeah, shout out to Curry too. Yeah. So my all rookie team, obviously we have Stephon Castle, who's going to win Rookie of the Year. Yeah. I also have Zachary Risache. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I think I am. But he's also had a pretty good year, regardless if he was the first pick or not. I think he's still having a pretty good year with the Hawks. And then I also have Yves Missy. I know I'm saying that correctly. On the Hornets, or not Hornets, sorry, on the Pelicans. He was in considerations for Rookie of the Year early in the season as well. Dominant big man, defensive big man. And I think he fell pretty far in the draft, and I don't know why. Probably because no one really scouted this draft as much as other drafts. And then I also had Zach Edey for the Memphis Grizzlies as well. Just a huge big man. I don't know how he fell to 9th, but I know if he fell to 13th, the Raptors would have picked... Oh, sorry. If he would have fell to the Raptors would have picked him. A homegrown talent. He's just a big man, can get boards, can get blocks, and he can dunk on anyone he wants at 7'5". And then my last guy I have is Jalen Wells for the Grizzlies. He's been pretty good defensively this year, and his efficiency on the offensive side has also been pretty surprising, and not surprising, but it's good to see that how well he's doing on the Grizzlies.
Yeah, so. I had the same rookie team as you, Remy. I don't know if you had anything changed.
The only thing I would have changed is I had Maz Buzelis instead of Jalen Wells.
Yeah,
that's the only switch I had. But everything else I completely agree with.
I'm a big fan.
I think Maz
Buzelis too.
he's gone on such a tear, and I'm so happy he's meshing really well with this Bulls team. They've got a really youngish Bulls team, except for obviously Vucevic. Surprised he didn't leave them yet, but
I did miss. I wanted to ask you, but I completely forgot for both of you. All NBA teams. Any honorable mentions you guys have if for injuries if they were fully healthy? Who do you put on that?
Luka Doncic.
Luka Doncic for sure.
Yeah, Luka Doncic.
Luka for sure. I mean Paolo, obviously.
Yeah, Paolo.
Third team at least.
Remy, I don't think.
Kevin Durant, the bonus.
I don't think Kevin Durant can make the All NBA team with the amount of games he's missed.
KD might not be eligible. I'd have to
okay, then if it's not KD, then I'm taking Sabonis.
No, he's
Sabonis was Sabonis was
so 3 games.
I'm taking Sabonis then.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that. And then last one we'll do
just going back to the rookie teams. I think because we're not talking about considerations yet for the rookie team, there are 4 Raptors players that I was talking about last.
Okay.
And I don't want my mic to get cut off this time. I'll just do it briefly. I'll just say the names and then a quick attribute they have. All right. So obviously, when I said Jamal Shad, he's a good playmaker. He's a bulldog on the court.
You have 60 seconds.
All right. Next player, Jacoby Walter. He's got Kobe in his name. He kind of plays like Kobe. He can shoot the mid-range well. He can shoot the three-pointer well. We all saw what he did against the Orlando Magic. The Magic had all their best players on the court, and they had Jacoby Walter and 4 other rookies on the court. Boom. Jacoby Walter, three-pointer over the Magic's head top. All I'm saying for him. Third player, Jamison Battle today. In the first half, he went 6 for 7 from 3. Name another rookie doing that right now. He is a 3-point...
Stephen Castle.
No, but this guy is a 6'9" power forward shooting 6 for 7 from 3. He is an insane 3-point shooter. I'm glad we have him on this roster, and I bet you we're going to extend him. The Raptors' development coaching is just amazing. He's just going to get better every year. And then the last player, Jonathan Mogbo, Scotty Barnes Jr. He is insane. Almost had a triple-double again today. He had one last game, and he almost had one again today. He was just 1 point shy of getting a triple-double. I'd love to see it.
And you're cut off. Okay. Last one we'll talk about is all defensive. Connor, who do you got for your all defensive team? We'll just do first.
Ooh, all defensive, eh?
That's tough. I mean, we could.
I'm so excited for this one.
We could obviously. Okay, I'll let you start off since you see more.
Dyson I'm going to start off. So Dyson Daniels with 3 steals a game. Kind of hard to beat that. Then I also have Lou Dort on the Thunder. He is the dominant defender on the Thunder. People look to him to defend their best players. Third, I have Amen Thomas on the Rockets. He's known for his defensive and versatility. He will also guard your best player, block you, chase down blocks, steals. He's in those lanes. You got to look out for him. And then I do have Evan Mobley, who is one of my Defensive Player of the Year candidates as well. I do think he should win it this year over Dyson Daniels just because of his dominance in the paint. He's blocking any shot in the paint. He's one of the main reasons why the Cavs are where they're at, just because of his dominance in the defensive category. And then lastly, I have Jaren Jackson Jr. It was either Jaren Jackson Jr. or Draymond Green, but I don't really believe Draymond's that good defensively. I know he's good defensively, but he does the talking, but doesn't really do the walking as much as Jaren Jackson Jr. Exactly. He complains to the refs. He trash talk. He's good at trash talking other people, but that's what he's known for. He's known for being that bully, known for getting aggressive. He's kind of like an Isaiah Stewart type of guy. So I kind of want Jaren Jackson Jr. to get that spot over Draymond Green.
Remy?
The exact same list. I'm still going to the exact same list. But I have so many. I have a few honorable mentions. OG Anunoby for the Knicks. He's been playing absolutely amazing this year defensively. I'm so disappointed that the Raptors had to let go of him, but I understand. I wanted to put Jalen Williams on the Thunder. He's also playing really well. He's like I want to say their second or third behind Lou Dort, best defenders. Another one is SGA on the Thunder. He's been doing really well with steals this season.
Agreed.
I'm not a big fan of this player, but he's always mentioned Rudy Gobert. I'm not a fan of him at all, but I had to. He's not good offensively, but he's got some use on the court, so.
Yeah, that's a fair assumption.
Yeah.
I had the same thing. You guys have honorable mentions. I'd obviously put in Jalen Suggs if he had a healthy season. I think he made all defensive last season, and again he would have played almost the exact same, if not better. As well as Alex Caruso, I think could also be a mention on there. Made it the team as well last season. He's been he's been a good defensive player the last couple of years. I think he's been really, really solid. And then as well as Wemby, obviously Wembanyama would have made it all defensive if he had
enough games because he has the most blocks.
Oh yeah,
if he had a healthy season, he for sure would have obviously made all defensive first team and in consideration for DPOIs in the general.
He only played 46 games this season, and he still has 40 to 30 more blocks than the second place person with blocks.
Easily DPOI if he had a healthy season. Going in now.
I have one more honorable mention. I know it's too soon to say this person, but shout out Raptors and Jamal Shed.
Oh my god! Thank God you said it because I was about to say it.
Okay, going into the next one.
Remy, that was such a good consideration.
I asked you guys to come up with some disappointing players. There's always disappointing players who don't play up to the hype or obviously don't do well to their previous seasons.
Yeah, I think we're all thinking.
100%.
I asked to do one per team, but I'm going to narrow it down to just a couple overview of the topic. I'm going to go first. And
I'm probably going to agree with you.
I talked about him before in the first episode. Paul George.
Yep.
Yeah, I figured Paul George was going to be on the first one.
Podcast P.
Yeah, I think we all
I was on a podcast and playing in the NBA.
Paul George has been one of the most inconsistent, disappointing players and other words that I don't want to say in the whole league. He hasn't played. He's only played 41 games, but in those 41 games, he's averaged 16 points per game, which is a career low. He's still getting 30-plus minutes. He has a career low in field goal attempts since almost his rookie season, which doesn't really play a factor. It's a low effort addition. It's like 3 less field goal attempts. He's shooting well from 3, but again, 16 points per game on how much this guy is getting played. He has no availability, and obviously we know, say it with me, the best availability, or what is it? The best
ability is availability.
So I think Paul George, we all agree, one of the most, if not the most disappointing player in the league. I figured we'd all have that one, so I had a second one, and this one actually might shock people. I'm going with Devin Booker. I think if you look at Booker, his stats have been very underwhelming. He's averaging 25 points per game, which is least amount since the 2018-19 season. Or sorry, the 2020-21 season. He's averaging 25. He's averaged 27, 28 in the previous seasons. His three-point percentage is lower than the last couple seasons at 33% on nearly 7 attempts. He's putting up the same field goal attempts. He's played 75 games, so he hasn't had many injuries this season. As the Suns as a whole, they didn't even make the play-in, and I think Booker has been real disappointment in that Suns team.
Oh man, if you're saying 25 points per game is an under
for Booker, who's been upwards of 28 points per game.
We have KD on that team too. We have KD on that team who's an all-time scorer. I mean, you can't share the ball around.
If you're saying 25 points per game is bad compared to those other years, that just says how great of a player he is. If he's a great player, I can't believe you said Devin Booker over Bradley Beal out of anyone. Even on the Suns.
I didn't want to say Beal because
couldn't agree more there.
Beal is arguably the most obvious one.
Well, it's just beating a dead horse at this point.
You're kicking a dead body at that point. It's like, what's the point?
No, it's worth a mention though. It's definitely worth it.
Then we all know Beal is the most overpaid, most disappointing player in the league. We know that. But Booker, I think, when you look at the Suns and how bad they were, Booker's arguably the number one option over KD in certain situations on that team. He's been on the team longer. He knows what's up. And the fact that he let his Suns not even make the playoffs, I think it was very disappointing for him.
Yeah, but if he
has to be able to carry that team.
Yeah, but he realizes that Kevin Durant, he's realizing that Kevin Durant's the man on that team now. I bet you when KD was out, Devin Booker was putting up insane numbers. But when KD comes back, that's what brings down his average.
Booker always helped his team win, and that's why I'm saying he's disappointing. I'm not saying he's a bad player.
I know you're saying
he's a great player, but it was just disappointing.
But you can't have 2 players averaging 29 points per game on the same team or 30 points per game.
We've seen it before.
You've seen it before, but rarely. You can probably count the other times it's happened on your hands.
Doing it. KD averaged 26. Booker averaged 25. They're only a couple points away from averaging 28 and 28.
But Devin Booker's not the man on the team anymore. He gave the keys to Kevin Durant.
I think he should be because KD's getting older. He's got injury problems. Booker's been relatively healthy, especially this season. Last season, he played 68 games, which is still a fair number. So I think he's got to be the number one guy on that team. I think he has to be the guy.
Not the number one guy.
I think
I don't think he should be the number one guy because if he was the number one guy, he would have already had a championship.
I think last episode we said Kevin Durant was the best scorer of all time or one of the most elite scorers of all time.
But he's 35 now. 36.
He's 35, 36, averaging 26 points per game.
He's still doing the same thing.
Again, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I'm saying it was just the Suns. maybe this is easier. The Suns as a whole, every single player on that roster was disappointing. KD with injuries, in my opinion. Booker with the way he was playing, he wasn't able to put the team on his back. And then obviously Beal, we know, overpaid and not living up to anything that contract says. Most hated player.
Yeah, but I think it's less of a player issue and more of a GM issue. When they had that team with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and even DeAndre Ayton, you could say, and that team was going to the finals. Yeah. But they 100%. They played 8 games of CP, Devin Booker, KD, and DeAndre Ayton, and then they blew it up. They're like, okay, Chris Paul's getting too old. Let's trade for Bradley Beal, unknown scorer who's averaged 31 points per game. All that did was ruin their team. They traded away all their picks for Bradley Beal, someone who's averaging Paul George numbers right now. I think that the disappointing player, instead of Devin Booker's not even the most disappointing player on their own team. It's Bradley Beal, and I know it's beating a dead horse. I know. But
it's easier to say the Suns as a whole than say the Suns as a whole. Because you're right, it could be a GM problem, could be a coach problem, something's going on. But at the beginning of the year, raise your hand if you expected the Suns to make the playoffs. I know everyone's hand would be up.
Yeah.
Remy, don't tell me your hand wouldn't be. The Suns were expected to make the playoffs without.
No, not with Bradley Beal on the team. No, I don't expect them to make the playoffs.
Devin Booker on that team. They were expected to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but you have no playmaking. You have no floor spacing. You have nobody that's going to space out the floor. No, I did not expect them to make the playoffs with the way the NBA is right now. I did not expect them to. Like Connor said, when you blow up that team that they have with Chris Paul, I would have kept him because he's a veteran point guard that can space out the floor. Yeah, that's why I would have kept them.
And they had
I wouldn't. Exactly. And Mikal Bridges was fantastic for them, and they got rid of him to the Knicks. Like, it's one of those things where I did not expect them to make the playoffs because you have too many scorers and not enough guys that, like, if they don't have the ball in their hand, they're useless.
All right. Well,
so no, I did not expect them to make the playoffs.
Well, anyway, I didn't mean to turn this into a Suns rant, but Connor, who is a disappointing player for you?
So my first pick was Paul George, and obviously we've already been through Paul George. But my second player was Fred VanVleet on the Rockets.
Okay.
From what he was putting up on the Raptors to what he's doing now,
and getting paid a lot.
And he's getting paid $40 million a year too. I thought when he left the Raptors, he wouldn't put up the same numbers as he did on the Raptors as what he's putting up on the Rockets.
He's putting up 14 points per game.
That's usually what happens, disregarding Vince Carter and all those type of players. But once you leave the Raptors, it's not the same. You don't put up as many points. You're in a different system. He's not the primary focus. I think he wasn't the primary focus on the Raptors. He was more of a secondary option, but still, he's not putting up 20 points per game. He's just chucking. As a Raptors fan, we know he chucks up shots and everything.
If you look at the Rockets, though, they're also just getting younger, more talented players.
But I don't know.
When you pay the guy $40 million, you obviously expect him to do a lot more than 14 points per game. But obviously, they've drafted since then. They've gotten a lot of better talent around them who've developed. So at this point, it's hard to say, and
they are in a good spot right now.
Yeah, in hindsight, looking at that contract and looking at how he's producing, you'd say he's been pretty disappointing.
And you kind of think that they're paying him to be a veteran presence on the team.
I'm sure he's a good locker room guy. Who's helped
someone who's won a championship and everything. Like, as a Raptors fan, he's actually I'm not going to say he's the best locker room guy because he was talking a little bit of ish to our rookies when we first got them, like Scotty Barnes and stuff. You're saying, "Oh, good luck with those guys" and all that stuff. So, although he's not the best locker guy,
we're having great luck with him so far, Freddie.
Remy, who did you have for disappointing?
I had this will be surprising. I had Tyrese Halliburton.
Too. I had that too for the Pacers.
Tell me why.
Because he was like from last season to this season. I expected a lot more out of him. He's just not like with the assists. He's got too many turnovers. His points per game is going down. His assists per game is going down. He was known for his assists last season. I'm not seeing that out of him this year. And it's just like I was just really disappointed with his play. And I heard a lot of other NBA veterans talking about how he has no bag. He doesn't need a bag because he's able to create space on the floor for his other teammates. But I'm not seeing that this season. I'm seeing more turnovers out of him.
If you compare to previous seasons, he's averaging low numbers since 21-22. He's always been a 10 assist point per guy the last couple of years. Now he's averaging 9, which is obviously still an elite number, but lower than what we've seen. He's shooting the ball really well, but again, if you look at that Pacers team, you definitely expect him to be the number one player, doing it all for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to throw in maybe 2 more players if I do have the opportunity to do so.
I'll give you 1 player.
Okay, well, Mikal Bridges on the Knicks is also another player who's been disappointing this season. We all thought he was going to be a defensive presence, but we see him getting scored on multiple times. He just the other night he was passed the ball during the last seconds of the game, and he just threw it out of bounds or just dropped out of bounds. Big liability for a team that's trying to push them in the playoffs. And we can't forget that they also gave up 5 unprotected first-round picks for him.
Okay, I'll give you a second.
I couldn't agree more with that. Okay,
well, Paolo been care. Okay, I'm kidding.
Okay, going into our next topic. Chauncey Billups, the Blazers, we saw it, Shams posted on Twitter when I saw this today. Chauncey Billups reached an extension with the Portland Trail Blazers. Connor, how do you feel about that?
I think they should have explored a few other coaches before extending that contract, but I do understand where they're coming from doing this, because Chauncey Billups is considered a development coach, and he has been doing really well this season, developing their players like Denny Avdija, who came from the Wizards. Denny's averaging career high stats all around. So they're kind of building around him at the moment, although they do have Scoot Henderson and Anfernee Simons. Both players have been also playing sort of well. I would say Anfernee Simons been playing pretty well, and Scoot Henderson, he was on my disappointment list, but he's still a young player, still has more to prove. I remember people were saying Scoot Henderson would compete against Victor Wembanyama for Rookie of the Year. Looking at hindsight, that's crazy. But I think Chauncey Billups is really good at developing his players, and he's also a locker room type of guy. So I think the players like him around. Otherwise, I don't think they would have brought him back. But I do wish that they would have explored a little bit more options with Chauncey Billups.
I'm going to add to that. I think this is the wrong move, if I'm being honest. If you look at the Trailblazers as a whole, the last time they made the playoffs, 2020 to 2021 season. Ever since then, they've always been at the bottom of the league in that 12 to 13 spot. Obviously, we've seen them get Scoot and whatsoever players we've seen them trade a lot of players like CJ and Dame, obviously. But the last, 5 years or so, they've been at the bottom every single year. So when you're trying to, at some point, you have to try and win. And they've been drafting, they've been trading. You feel like they're trying to win now, and they just haven't been doing that. And when you're in that situation where you haven't made the playoffs and this long, is it really time to extend your coach? I think before they rushed to that, they should have looked around, seen what's out there. That's just my personal thought on that. Remy?
I couldn't have agreed more with what you guys said. It's just not the right move right now. It's like, when are they going to start winning? It's been way too long. Since I've started following basketball, I have not ever considered them a winning team, and it's just not like they need to start winning. They need to start doing something. You can't be a losing team your whole entire time. Especially lately, it's like all these other teams are like a few years ago. You would like there's a lot of development teams, but I couldn't even consider the Blazers a development team because they don't have any they don't have anyone with a fantastic potential that I could see turning into a really good development team. So no, they gotta change something around.
I'm just gonna debate Sean here real quickly because he said that they don't win or since the 2021 season
they've been at the bottom of the league. They haven't made the playoffs since.
The Raptors are kind of in the same position as the Blazers right now, where they have a coach.
What, 2 years ago?
The coach.
When did they hire?
Although we're not winning games.
When did they hire Darko though?
It was 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Okay, but still, we're getting our young guys in, and you can't just change your coach in the middle of a rebuild because that coach
they've been rebuilding
knows these players.
They've been rebuilding for so long. At some point, you kind of have to look at
a rebuild isn't just a 1 year, 2 year thing, and then we're pushing the playoffs
for 5 years now.
Who?
The Trailblazers, they've been rebuilding for 5 years now.
More than 5 years. More than 5 years.
The Magic changed coaches in between seasons. It's about time where obviously not everything's a coaching change, but at a certain situation, maybe it's even a management problem. Maybe it's a GM problem. Maybe it's an owner problem. They've had struggles for so long. They've traded players like they're giving away candy. They haven't really got that much back for it. Their drafts have been okay. I just think at some point, maybe not this year or next year, but at some point, you have to look at someone else.
I do think they have a solid roster right now, though. Scoot Henderson, they got Anfernee Simons, Danny Avdija, they got Donovan Clingan.
But they also have DeAndre Ayton, who fell off ridiculously.
Yeah.
Too, but
Anthony Simons is wasting his prime years on a bad Trailblazers team. He's been in trade rumors for so long now. I'd be so surprised if they don't get rid of him, and that's your best player right there. Jeremy Grant is nowhere near the player we once saw. Robert Williams III, since he was traded away from the Celtics, has been really on a downpour. Delanto Banton from the Raptors also not producing.
Buddy, I'm a big Danilo fan.
I know you are.
I think they should start him. Oh,
and they have.
I think it's just a GM problem, honestly.
They have Vidya, Booch that. But again, when you look at their roster and the players they've had, they should have had a better team by now. And again, maybe it's not a coaching problem, but you have to fire someone. So I don't know if extending your coach is really the right move.
No, because I think this coach is trying to develop his players. I think it's honestly a GM thing, because when you have Jeremy Grant, I know DeAndre Ayton isn't too old, but you should honestly look to trade him because he still has some potential. You should.
Yeah, how much is left on that contract?
The numbers and the years, it was just a multi-year contract via Sean, so we don't know year or money, but it was a multi-year, so I'm assuming 3 to 5 years.
But the GM should be trading these older players who aren't going to help the future of their team.
Also, they also have the 10th pick in the draft.
Okay, yeah, that's
so they don't
bad.
even they finish toward the bottom of the league, and they don't even have the great odds to get in the top.
Yeah,
but I think the GM should be trading these older players to get younger players so that Chauncey Billups has more to play around with. Because Darko Rajakovic and the Raptors, they're trading older players other than Chris Boucher, who's going to be a lifelong Raptors, Udonis Haslem type of player. And they have such a young team around Scotty Barnes, our future face of the league, via Darko Rajakovic. And Darko is developing these players. He's giving the rookies playing time when we know we're not going to win. I think that Chauncey Billups right now, he's forced to play players like Jeremy Grant or these other older players because the GMs won't do anything about it. They won't trade these players away so that he has more rookies or more young guys to see what's going to fit in the future. If they're not going to fit, then trade them away. But instead, they're just keeping these players like Jeremy Grant around who aren't going to help the development of their team. But so that's, in conclusion, I think it's the GM's fault. But I think Chauncey Billups is doing a really well job developing the players. I love Chauncey Billups.
We know the player he is. I think he's a great coach. But I think someone over there has to be fired. And I'm not convinced that re-signing their current coach with their current situation is the right move.
Listen, if we look back tens of years, the Trailblazers drafting decision, they drafted Greg Oden over Kevin Durant. I think their only good draft decision was pretty much Bradley Beal and Damian Lillard in the past 15 years. So I don't think it's a coaching issue. I think it's a GM issue or scouting issue where they need to find someone new because it obviously hasn't been working out in the past 15 years.
Remy, any thoughts, final thoughts on Portland or that's multi-year extension?
No, you guys have said everything about Portland.
Yeah, what I said was facts. Winning. Yeah, exactly. I was saying facts.
Also, I want to look at a couple of their trades. They traded True Holiday, and they got Brogdon, Williams, and some picks. Brogdon, we know, not on the team anymore.
On the Wizards now.
Robert Williams, we know, not doing jack for that team.
Yeah, but he's had injury problems. They thought that
he was all their picks so far, of which have been selected, have not turned into anything.
Yeah, exactly. Again, what I'm saying is scouting a GM. This is scouting a GM.
They're traded for Damian Lillard. True Holiday, then they just flipped him.
They should have got more.
DeAndre Ayton, who's not doing anything, and then Toumani Camara, plus some pick swaps and picks who, again, so far haven't really turned anything, as well as most of them haven't even been selected yet. They're in 28 to 2030. But again, when you're looking at these players they traded, they're gotten nothing in return.
But you can't blame Chauncey Billups.
No, I don't blame the coach. You could blame management. And maybe re-signing the coach is a management problem because, again, I don't know if it's the right move, but everything goes back to management. So I think then, it would be a management problem for the Blazers. I really think, especially now, they don't have a high pick going into the season. I really think this season should define whether someone gets fired or resell your team.
Well, obviously not the coach because they just extended him.
No, you're not going to fire
it's not the coach.
It's not the coach. The owner, the assistant GM, the equipment manager, someone's got to get fired.
I agree.
I won't go with the. I wouldn't go so far with the equipment.
Whoever it is, someone's got to get fired.
I just missed that.
The equipment manager, the massage therapist, someone's got the conditioner, someone's got the team driver. I don't care who it is, but someone on that team's got to be fired. And if I'm a Blazers fan, I'm heated right now.
Yeah, because if we're looking back at the Dame trading Dame for a True Holiday type of player,
or then you just flip for against things that you don't even get. Malcolm Brogdon, you just trade again, and Robert Williams' injury problem is not doing anything.
Like if you look around the league, I think Dame could have been traded for players like Franz Wagner. That would have been a great addition for the Trailblazers. You could have traded for, I don't know, this might be a little bit insane, but maybe a Cade Cunningham. I don't think Cade Cunningham because they're trying to
not Cade.
You could trade for one of these future stars that are going to prove themselves in the league instead of Drew Holiday, who's pushing 40 years old now, and flipping him again for a whole lot of nothing. I think that trade kind of messed up their whole future and what they've been working for in the past 10 years.
Yeah, something's going to happen over there in Portland for things to fall into place. Congrats to Chauncey. He's a great player. We know the player he is.
Yes, big ups.
Coaching is going to be interesting in the next coming future. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll follow our last topic in the Masters, which just wrapped up this weekend. I know Remy's really excited for that. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Gameplan podcast. Our last topic of the episode, the Masters, arguably one of the biggest events during the spring, summer come along. Just wrapped up this weekend. Remy, I know you're the biggest golf fan that I know.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I just want to, like I said, I'm going to cut you off after a certain time because we can't talk about it for an hour. But I want to ask you a question leading into this. Rory McIlroy, we know, is one of the greatest golfers of all time. How does he just win his first Masters today?
Honestly, I'm surprised he didn't win it sooner. But the thing with him was it's like with every golfer. With his game, he's known for his driving game. He's known for his driving, his irons, but his putter, it just hasn't been there lately. And especially since the switch from Nike to TaylorMade, because as soon as Nike discontinued their clubs, he switched to TaylorMade. And I'm not going to blame the clubs or anything like that, but I'm just going to say it's more of a mental game at the Masters. It's one of those things where it's just like you want it so badly, but you can't have it. And it's one of those things where you're playing up against the best of the best in the world. Not everybody can play at the Masters, so it's super, super tough to win. So I mean, he obviously should have won it sooner, but I'm happy he won it now.
I saw the moment when he made that final putt. He went to his knees. He looked like he was so like you could see the emotion on his face. And we know how mental we all play the sport. We know how mentally draining and how mentally focused you have to be able to play at any level. I know we suck, but to play at such like a high level like that, you really have to have that emotional and keep your emotions in check during that. So tell me what else your thoughts on this weekend.
So to start off for the listeners at home, you probably heard in the news that Rory got his Grand Slam win at the Masters. But what the Grand Slam essentially means is you're capturing the four majors of the PGA, which is the Masters tournament, the PGA Championship, the U.S. Open, and the Open Championship. You have to get all four of those, and then you've considered getting your Grand Slam in the PGA. So that's what he finally accomplished today. Rory McIlroy's last major that he won was in 2014, which is a while ago, but he's obviously won tournaments since, and he's actually won every other tournament in the PGA Tour, besides the majors. The Masters was the last thing to close off for his basically record book, but it's insane. He deserves it so much, but I'm gonna be honest with you. When I was watching it today, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time because at the beginning of today, him and Bryson DeChambeau were tied for first. It was a neck and neck thing. Everyone was saying who's gonna win it, and then Bryson just completely drops off. Then he drops down to 9th or 10th today, and then Rory, he starts off with a bogey. He slowly kept dropping, and then Justin Rose, he was always at the top, but he was in the top 5. But to start off the Masters, he was at number 1, and then Rory came back, and it was such a nail biter because Rory messed up so many times where he shot a ball out of bounds, or he was missing easy putts and easy chips because he was aligning himself up perfectly on all of his approach shots off the tee for most of the tournament. It's just today, on the third day, he had an absolutely terrible day. And at one point, I was questioning if he was even going to win it because he just was not getting anything to go his way. His driver today wasn't there. Thankfully, on the 16th to 17th hole, I believe, he hit this amazing baby cut out onto the green, and that just sort of sealed him to the Masters today. Even though he had to go and play he had to play a sudden death match against Justin Rose in the final, and he obviously won that.
Sorry to cut you off. Let me ask you, if we know Tiger Woods, the greatest golfer of all time, wasn't in the Masters, let me ask you, if he was, do you think he would have won?
Today, in the way he is, like with his injuries, no. If he was playing and if he was fully healthy, I would say he had a chance. But with the way he is lately for the past few years with his injuries, no, he would not have. He would not. I feel like he would not. He maybe have come top 20, but with his injuries lately, he's just not the same golfer. He's not. He doesn't have the same feel with his swing. Obviously, like he's the greatest of all time, but no, I'm not gonna say that he would have won it this year.
Yeah. Wrapping it up.
The one thing I just want to say is there's only 4 other players. There's 5 other players that did the Grand Slam at the Masters on Augusta, which was all-time legends Gene Sarazen, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, and Tiger Woods. And thankfully today, McIlroy joins them, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I know you had some questions for us as a golf fan.
Oh, I do. Yes.
Ask away.
So so I want to know: would you guys rather have your worst golf game of all time, but you get to play Augusta National, or you have a hole-in-one on a completely different course, and nobody gets to see it except for you?
Tough one, Connor.
Oh, I like publicity, so I'm
John, what are your thoughts?
Yo, no, you're asking my thoughts first. I was in the middle of something. I think I would have my worst game on the Nationals because I love the publicity. I would love to just be on TV. I don't care if I have a bad game. I could
go plus 100, and I'd still be happy.
Yeah,
I'm joining with you guys on that. It's a legendary course. Once in a lifetime opportunity to play there.
But if no one sees you do it, what the fuck's the point?
The cameras are off. Like, no one's gonna know
exactly.
Even your friends might not even believe you.
But if your friends see you on TV, and then you
made it,
you're gonna be known as the worst golfer of all time.
You're known for something.
Yeah, you're known for something. You're gonna get fame, and then you're
on TV.
It's better than allegedly hitting a hole-in-one.
I couldn't agree with you guys anymore. Playing Augusta would be an honor in its own right, just because of how all the legendary moments and accolades that have been accomplished there.
Yeah, and the course is nice.
So nice.
The course is amazing. It's where the most
all different sports play at Augusta.
Of course. No, actually, no, they're not allowed to. There's actually it's very hard to play there.
Some of the Leafs players actually played at Augusta a couple years ago.
Yeah, they got it. You have to get invited by a member.
Oh yeah, of
course. Or else you're not playing. It's very hard to play there.
So only the elite get to play there.
I heard that if you find a piece of garbage on the course, they'll give you $100.
Really? I didn't know that.
I heard that.
But
so if if you're a member there, you probably don't need $100.
Well, I'm just probably, but I just heard that on a podcast before that if you find a piece of garbage or grass out of place, they will pay you $100.
Where is this? Is this California or something? It's got to be like one of those bougie places where there's sun 24/7.
Augusta is Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Atlanta.
Yeah.
But no, a fun fact. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but since for example, Tiger Woods has won multiple green jackets. You only actually have one green jacket to your name. You don't have multiple green jackets. Like you do have wins of multiple green jackets, but you get the same jacket every time you win it. And
I'm sure he's got you only get in his closet just chilling there.
No, you only get one. You only get one.
Before we wrap it up, is there any final thoughts you have as the Masters as a whole, and what you're looking forward to in the next golf tournament?
I just can't wait to see what. I'm just super excited to see what happens for the future of Corey Connors, the Canadian golfer. He was doing so well throughout the Masters, and I honestly thought he was going to win it at one point. And I'm just super excited to see what he has in his future. And obviously, just to congratulate Rory once again for joining an all-time great list of Masters golfers.
The next event is when is it? Late April 17th to 20th is the RBC Heritage, which winner was Scotty Scheffler, who won $3.6 million. So congratulations last year. We'll see what happens with that. Wrapping it up, thank you guys for joining me again today. Thank you for joining me on the Gameplan podcast. I'm your host, Sean Porter, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.